So recently, my TIG welder has been acting up a little, and it's definitely the foot pedal. And I want to show you how simple it is to repair many of these foot pedals. Essentially requires no parts, only about 5 minutes of your time. So this one comes apart. These are little spring-loaded clips here on the side. So I'm just going to push that in, and it pops out, and then I'll do the same thing on the other side. And this cover comes right off. So it's a pretty simple unit inside. When you depress the pedal, this is running down. And when you depress the pedal, this is a micro switch. This micro switch clicks, and that's what actually activates it to say that, yes, I'm on, starts your gas flow, etc. The only other component is this. This is a potentiometer, electronic variable resistor, with 2 capacitors just for some noise elimination attached to it. And this is usually the problem. And what happens with all potentiometers is when they're not continually used or used often, you can get a little bit of oxide or just a little bit of, I guess, without for no other word to call it, dirt or a coating that forms inside. And what it is it's a coil and there's a wiper. When that, you can see when I step on this, that's rotating. Okay, so that's turning the potentiometer back and forth, changing the resistance, telling the welder to up or down the power. So with mine, what was happening was I would step on the pedal, the arc would start, and then I'd start depressing the pedal. And as I'm depressing it, it would start to increase, and then it would jump right back to almost like a starting arc size. And as I'd go a little further, it would get bigger, and then it would just suddenly jump back again. So there were spots where it wasn't reading correctly. So it's a very simple fix again for these. So I'm going to just stop here, grab, I need a Phillips screwdriver and a small open-end wrench, and I'm going to take this apart. Okay, so I'm just going to loosen the screw on this. This is the gear that's on the end that works with the gear, the spline pushing down. So now I've loosened that, and there is a nut holding the, oops, don't want to turn the whole thing. There's a nut holding the potentiometer in place. I'm going to pull that out, loosen it off. Again, I'll pause just for a sec here and come back when I get that off. So here's all it is. There's the potentiometer. There are 3 terminals. There's a center, which is the wiper usually, and then there's both ends of a resistor. And as this turns, the end here, if I use a screwdriver, you'll be able to see it a little better. So it just rotates back and forth. And as it rotates, it's wiping over a coil and reducing the resistance in one direction, increasing it in the other. So the fix for this, believe it or not, is just to take 4 or 5 minutes with the screwdriver and rapidly move it back and forth from one end to the other. And if you're familiar with these devices, or many of you have used radios, especially the older analog radios or televisions, and if they would get to a point where they crackled all the time, and if you tried to change the volume, it would be crackling and making static, and you'd have to play with it to get it to find a good location. It's the same problem, and most potentiometers all have this problem eventually. If they're used all the time and regular, you'll have less problems, or until finally they wear out. But that's usually what it is. So I'm going to just sit here and rapidly move this back and forth from limit to limit for 3 or 4 minutes. And that wiper moving over the coil essentially cleans the internal contacts. And I'm betting that 99% that will fix it. If you have to, if it's not working still after that, you can replace the potentiometer. So this one is a Rocket RV24YN20S-B203. And if you look that up on the internet, you'll probably find you can get this for $10, probably $20 max. And it's just soldering 3 wires here, here, and here to change it. So you don't have to spend a lot of money to fix these. The only other component that's likely to fail is the micro switch. And again, there's the numbers right on the micro switch. And my guess is, again, on Amazon or eBay, you'll probably find this micro switch for $5 or $10. They're a dime a dozen. So don't throw it away. Simple to fix. So all it is this gear on the end of the potentiometer, which snugs down with this, goes through a hole, and you have to, it's just takes a minute or two to get it out of place, and the nut and washer thread on the other side. When it's back in position, ready to work, these are horizontal. This is a little insulator just so it doesn't touch anything, and the knob turned all the way back when it's in position, and then it rotates the other way. So anyway, I'm going to put this back in place now. So to put this back in place, you can see I've inserted it through the hole. I've put the nut and washer on, but I'm not snugging them in place yet. And it's because of the space needed to put the gear on. So I've turned the potentiometer all the way towards me here on top, because that's how it was when it was installed. And I'm going to slide this now over the shaft, like so. So now it's on the shaft, and there's a hole on the other side that it goes into and meshes with the gears. So there we go. It's in place. Now I'll tighten the nut, keep this thing horizontal with the insulator board in behind it, then tighten that screw, and I'm done. So we'll pause for a second and I'll get that in. Okay, so there we are. It's back together. You can see as I'm moving this, it's rotating and it's full travel. Again, so there's only two things can go wrong in here, unless a wire breaks somewhere, but is the potentiometer, and usually just actively working it for 4 or 5 minutes will solve it, or the micro switch. And if the micro switch is gone, your gas won't kick in. There's all kinds of things that it just doesn't start. It doesn't start the welding process at all. Very simple, just a matter of minutes to change that. So I'll put the cover on, we'll give it a try. Okay, so I'm back and the cover is on, and I can report that was my problem. I think this has been it's been causing me grief for longer than I realized, because what I really notice now is how once I'm at full pedal, when I start to back off, I was having difficulty getting low heat. It always seemed to be still outputting higher heat, so it was the same problem. It wasn't backing off. Now it backs right off, and it's a very smooth process with the arc increasing gradually as I step it. So that was my problem, and this is a common problem on anything that has one of those potentiometer variable resistors, especially if it's not used a lot. Anyway, don't throw away your old pedal. Just pop it apart and you may be able to repair it in 5 or 10 minutes. Hope that helps. If you found this useful, please like and subscribe.